someone. Not Dave Paulson, the head coach of George Mason there.
Saw him crossing through the screen. No jacket, green tie. Very successful at Bucknell. Penn wins the tap. And look for Bucknell to play a soft man-to-man, and by soft, I don't mean that they don't defend you, but they back off you. They're going to double the post on every entry pass. So A.J. Broder going to have his hands full.
So far, so not good from the outside for Penn as Wood misses his first.
That's the shot that's going to present itself. 3-pointers against that Bucknell defense. They're going to pack it in and make you shoot over them. That's a tough matchup right here on the switch. A nice run at by Caleb Wood.
Foul called underneath.
So you get the switch, and Darnell Foreman stuck playing post defense. Caleb Wood, I like the instinct. When you see the mismatch like that, run at the big, double him, and force him to kick it back out.
Jalen Jenkins at the line, shooting 72%. First shot up and in. Jenkins kind of the lone big on this George Mason team, but per 40 minutes, he's averaging about 8 fouls, so foul trouble has been an issue for him.
Efficient use of your fouls there, Joe.
Brief glimpse of Steve Donahue as Jenkins rattles the second one in. Mason strikes first, and now they press. Wood and Foreman breaking it. Once again, that man-to-man defense as Broder takes a look at a shot. Offensive board for Matt Howard, and now an open shot maybe for Foreman. Foreman, the lefty. Wood around a Broder screen. And patient on this possession. Broder doubled immediately. Up and under. Good find of Wood. Bingo from distance, and Penn has the lead 3-2 over George Mason.
Made by that early offensive rebound by Matt Howard. If you said which guy from Penn most looks like he could play for George Mason, Matt Howard would fit that role. 6'3", 6'4", strong, rebounds it well.
It's going to be key for Penn to keep up with the athletes of George Mason. Matt Howard, a very good athlete. Moore into the lane. Corner tray. That's off back iron, won't go for Jair Grayer, and now it's a run out for Penn. Wood ahead of the pack. Somehow that crawls in.
Like Wood got a screen there as he was driving to the basket. I think Broder sets the back screen to take the shot blocker out of the equation. Wood gets all the way to the basket as Jenkins gets screened off.
Moore. Look down low, Jenkins around, and through McDonald for two.
Nice entry pass, good seal by Jenkins. Been there a long time. Might have had to pay rent for that one, Joe. So I'd like to see Penn get Broder in motion because Mason wants to double him. If you can get him moving block to block, not let them know where that double can come from, that might help him out.
5 to shoot for Broder, and he rattles it home from distance. A.J. Broder, and Broder hasn't done that very often. His first three-point field goal attempted is in.
They're clapping at the Penn bench in this 1-3-1 zone, trying to get noise and disrupt George Mason on the offensive end. Tip ball, Matt Howard, look dunk, baby.
All alone, Howard, and lays it in smartly. Good steal by Penn, and all of a sudden they lead by 6 over George Mason at home.
I thought Matt Howard was thinking spine chiller supreme right there. Pass gets tipped, he gets the 2 anyway. 2 big energy plays early by Matt Howard. The tip ball there and the previous offensive rebound.
Jenkins all alone down low, and that one was too easy for George Mason.
Jenkins shooting over 70% from the floor for the year. Shots like that, he just takes it inside.
Foreman too strong on the tray. And Justin Kier brings it up for George Mason. Slams on the brakes. Too strong off the glass, but another offensive rebound for George Mason. They've done that a lot this season. Moore. No look pass for Jenkins, who puts it in for 2 over Howard and Broder.
Broder has to step up on the dribble penetration. Penn doesn't get that second rotation. I think it was Matt McDonald on the baseline. Needs to get in Jenkins' way right there.
2-point lead for Penn, coming off a big convincing victory over Lafayette. Wood eyes up a triple. He's gone a little bit cold since starting out so hot early in the season from bonus distance. Jenkins again, no secret where this offense is coming from. Good find. And Kyer's going to the free throw line. Timeout on the floor. Penn leading George Mason by 2 at the first media timeout. We get back Justin.
And Jackson Donahue as well, so almost like you do a little hockey, right, Joe? You get the switch on the fly right there.
Full line change. Kyer up and in.
There we go.
Justin Kyer shooting 68% from the line. Had a career best 11 rebounds in 32 minutes in the win against Penn State last time out. 2 for 2. Tie game at 10. A little bit of trouble getting it in as Silpy looking for help with McDonald breaking this press. McDonald, a transfer from Fairleigh Dickinson. Howard versus Moore on the left wing. Rothschild finds an open Donahue. Well long and Moore with the rebound.
That's one you got to have from Jackson Donahue. Nice dribble penetration by Rothschild. And then back on coming the other way, Marquise Moore off the wild miss. End-to-end, easy 17-foot jumper. Got to make him change direction, challenge. He's too good a player to leave him alone like that.
George Mason in the lead. Soapy trying to change that with one shot. Now a foul called on Rothschild. It's going down. And once again, Marquise Moore playing above the rim to get that rebound.
2 quick threes for Penn. So I like the one from Donahue a little bit more than that one from Silpy right there. You see a lot of that from Moore. Have the ball in his hands. 17-footers, 15-footers. Get to the basket. He is a nice player.
Kind of leads the George Mason Patriots by example. They're a team that has a lot of hustle, a lot of grit. This is Livingston. He gets fouled and one on the jump shot. Silpy can't believe it. He's frustrated. But Otis Livingston, the leading returning scorer for George Mason at the free throw line.
It looks like Silpy gets him on the elbow. Official has a pretty good look at it. Silpy didn't like the call. A little touch right there. You know me, Joe. I don't like to agree with officials. I think I agree with that one. I had a pretty good angle, too.
That free throw is 23 straight.
I could have made the call because I was in the proper position to make it.
You saw it. You had it.
I saw it.
George Mason now with a 5-point lead. They're largest of the game.
They're going to throw one trap at you, maybe two, and then they're going to drop it back into that defense. They don't foul. They don't force turnovers. They force you to shoot over the top of them.
Rothschild driving baseline. And here's a steal for Livingston. 3-on-2. Livingston to the rack. And Moore with a rebound. Blocked from behind by Rothschild. And that's a jump ball. It'll stay here with George Mason, but great hustle back on defense by the forward.
So right on cue, I say George Mason doesn't force turnovers, and Max Rothschild throws one.
That brings in Jair Grayer. Now Kyer back out of the game. Dave Paulson reading lips saying he's worn that every game. Not here at the Palestra. Jalen Jenkins for Mason, trying to make it 7-point lead. Howard goes way up into the air. That was on the 4th floor of a 3-story building for that rebound. Donahue. Man-to-man defense again by George Mason. Silpy finds McDonald. Howard. And a back tap. Silpy will reset for Penn.
George Mason doesn't really push you out. They just don't let you in. But that time, Jake Silpy hits the wing and keeps on going and just beats Livingston to the basket.
That's Silpy's game. He's a very aggressive sophomore guard from Cherry Hill East High School. Now Moore spins in. What a move by Moore.
He's flexing as he comes back down the floor, and he certainly deserves it. Absorbs some contact. Gets it partially blocked, still muscles it up and in.
A foul called on Grayer on the attempted penetration by Jackson Donahue. 5-point lead for George Mason.
I think George Mason wants that play to happen that way. They want you to try and drive the ball into that collapsed defense and try and go through them. They like their odds when they've got a lot of hands and solid defensive positioning.
See the 11-2 run that the Patriots are on. Broder back into the game. Double teamed immediately. Howard. A lot of contact, and now Howard's headed to the free throw line.
Gets himself to the free throw line.
Swishes in the first. Relval called for the foul.
Where's he rank among your 24s, Joe?
My all-time 24s?
Your Penn 24s. I'm not talking Jack Bauer here.
I mean, there haven't been too many better ones, right?
Than Matt Howard?
And then Howard. I mean, and then Howard's on the Mount Rushmore.
Howard's trying to get on the podium. He's probably on the Mount Rushmore. A neat feature in the new locker rooms. Guys have their numbers, and then they list who has worn that number before them. A little sense of the history for the kids on this year's team. And speaking of history, every time Jenkins gets it on the low block, you can put it in the books. Another easy one for him. Now 4 for 4.
Cumulative distance about 3 feet away from the rim. Broder trying to answer. Howard. Great body control. Kept the ball away and scored for 2. Now it's a 3-point lead for George Mason.
And this Howard and Moore matchup is shaping up quite nicely. Moore does a good job of playing Howard physically without fouling, staying straight up and down. Matt Howard, strong finish with the left hand. And here's Penn in this 1-3-1 zone. Backside defensive rebounding is a key.
Livingston bangs that one home, and Steve Donahue is beside himself that Livingston was left open.
Good ball reversal by Bucknell. And Steve Donahue not happy. Goes Matt McDonald not rotating up quickly enough to get the shooter.
Howard. Donahue open in the corner. Bingo! He needed that one. And maybe Jackson Donahue, who's always been a streaky shooter, is back on the hot streak.
He missed his first one by about 6 feet. That one, another wide open look at it. Calmly knocks it down. Penn certainly needs Jackson Donahue from the perimeter. 3-point
lead for Mason. Moore from just inside the arc. Somehow forces that one in. That's the second kind of awkward looking shot he's had. He's made both.
Can't go behind on Moore though. He's too good a player, too good a shooter. Jackson Donahue gets caught up in the screen right there. Moore open from 18 feet. He's going to make that all day.
Donahue. Top of the key, eyes up a 3. Bingo, Jackson Donahue. Quick 6 points there for Penn. And now it's 24-22, just a 2-point lead for the Patriots.
He was hunting the 3 right there. He knew not a great defensive possession the time before. He's going to get one in the air and try and make up for it.
Trading 3s for 2s.
And that's a good closeout by A.J. Broder. Livingston's open, and the closeout takes away the shot. Really sweet kid.
Now George Mason invading the Palestra as they've opened up a 2-point lead here over Penn. However, Penn's kind of answered an early run. Jackson Donahue 6 points, killing an 11-2 George Mason run. Foreman, good find. McDonald, stop and go. 10 seconds to shoot from McDonald. Howard into the lane, and Moore with the block. George Mason with possession there. Good defensive set.
This one's going to be fun to watch. Howard and Moore going right back and forth at one another.
Howard,
a nice break by Foreman.
And Donahue with a partial block there. Offensive board up and still won't go. Frustrating, and now George Mason still has it somehow.
Steve Donahue wants an over-the-back call right there, and he is 100% correct.
Jair Grayer lets it fly. And another potential over the back as Howard steals it away.
Now there's the backside of that 1-3-1 zone we're talking about. You get a guard back there. Darnell Foreman had his work cut out for him. Penn fortunate to maintain the possession right there.
Donahue passes to A.J. Broder, who went to the same high school as he did. Now a foul called underneath. Northfield Mount Herman High School.
You get a really good look at what George Mason wants to do defensively. Entry pass comes in, and the double comes right away. And the rotation comes over to the entry passer almost automatically. So you see, I can't see who the defender is.
Jair Grayer.
As Grayer rotates over, and he is on Jackson Donahue as soon as that pass goes into the post. So the shot, the pass that's going to present itself is that top of the key and ball reversal. Penn's got to find that top of the key and then opposite corner 3.
Ian Boyd picks up that foul as well for George Mason. Now Foreman resets with just about 9 minutes left in the first half. Penn trailing by 2. They've been stuck on that number for a while. But Sam Jones.
A fantastic catch by Matt Howard diving the lane. And ball reversal back out. That time Broder gets triple teamed. And if you're a Penn shooter, you have to make George Mason pay if they're going to attack the post like that. Another big rebound for Matt Howard off the Moore drive.
Howard, one of the better rebounders on this Quakers roster. Wood, junior transfer, finds Foreman. Back to Jones. He's not shy about shooting. No results quite yet. Justin Kyer to Moore. He's gotten into the lane whenever he's wanted. Down low, it's Jenkins. Boyd, elbow J. Splashdown.
Jenkins is having himself a very solid game. You see Penn looking to double team him on the post feed. Sam Jones kind of half commits to it. Doesn't get enough ball pressure. Easy ball reversal, and Boyd knocks it down.
Broder finds Wood. And now a steal on the attempted slip. And George Mason sniffed that one out. Here comes Otis Livingston the second. Trying to build on a 4-point lead. Foreman with the board.
A nice challenge by Wood right there as Livingston comes across the lane.
Jones. Howard had Boyd guarding him. Broder down low. Quick ball movement by the Quakers. Wood drives baseline to the rack and got blocked by the rim.
If Wood was anticipating a little contact, maybe Jenkins getting up there as a shot blocker. Good, strong, aggressive take.
Now down low, Jenkins versus Foreman. He shoots over.
That's a horrible choice. You have a guy that's a foot shorter than you are, half a foot shorter than you are, and you take a fadeaway 15-footer. He needs to back him down right there, do what he was doing before. Speaking of doing what you do, Matt Howard off the glass with the right hand, absorbing the contact.
After moving forward, Joe and Vince.
Thanks a lot, Varun. Matt Howard at the free throw line. One of the seniors on the squad splashes it in for the old-fashioned three-point play, and now Penn's deficit just a single point as Tyler Hamilton comes in for him.
Penn with a little full court pressure of their own. Unlike Bucknell, who traps that first pass, Penn just tries to slow you down, make you work to get it up the floor.
Penn's taken 10 more three-point field goals, has made 3 more to stay close to George Mason. Elbow J, in and out for Justin Kyer, and now Foreman runs the floor for the Quakers.
It's a nice job by Matt McDonald challenging the jump shot right there. Bad turnover, Darnell Foreman. Here comes George Mason.
Kyer with the step through. Offensive board, Moore. Good block up top by Hamilton, and Rothschild saves it before it goes out of bounds. Maybe didn't have to, but Penn possession.
If you can grab it, Joe, grab it. Don't put the decision in somebody else's hands. Good job, Max Rothschild, cleaning up the loose change after Tyler Hamilton with the athletic block.
That's what Hamilton provides. If he can put all parts of his game together, he's a player. That one's off the window and in. McDonald showing his offensive skills. He's known as a defender and a playmaker.
Matt McDonald needs to see one go in early in the game. Otherwise, he doesn't look for his shot a lot the rest of the day. Nice to see him off the bounce right there, attacking that George Mason defense.
Penn with the lead back, 27-26. Moore, Livingston, now Jenkins.
Too deep. Jenkins does a really nice job of just getting Max Rothschild pinned down almost inside the charge circle there. He gets it down there. 70% shooter's going to make that every time.
Wood trying to answer. Now this is Livingston on the run. GeorgeMason by a single point. Backdoor look. Kyer has it poked away from him. Diving effort. And now we'll have to see which way this goes. It'll stay here with GeorgeMason.
You know what? Penn doesn't get the possession right there, but the fact that that ball gets knocked out of bounds is a bonus for Penn right there. It looks like it wasn't Livingston. Newman can pick that one up and go to the basket. Matt McDonald, nice job diving. Hustle play, doesn't show up in the stats book anywhere.
Livingston rims out again from distance. Normally a 36% free throw shooter. Foreman crossing over. Hamilton gets a block from behind and a foul called. Looks like this one might be going against Grayer.
Your mom cooking dinner tonight, Joe? I think the Quakers were the beneficiary, a little home cooking right there. That one's a little loose on the ground. I don't know how Hamilton comes up with that. That's a tough call for Jair Grayer.
Hamilton 5 of 7 on the year from the free throw line. See if he can make the most of that home cooking and give Penn the lead back. So far, so good for the Quakers. Boyd checks in as Grayer takes a seat. That's already the 3rd foul on Jair Grayer, so that's a big spot. Hamilton lets it fly. Too strong. Offensive board. Rothschild off of Hamilton's foot and out. Almost a good play for the Quakers.
Good hustle by Max Rothschild getting inside there. I think he could have just taken a breath. They kind of went out of bounds on his own volition. I think he felt like there was pressure there that wasn't quite there. And GeorgeMason the beneficiary.
Tie game at 28. GeorgeMason leapt ahead early, led by as many as 6. Penn answered on the other side. Long triple launched and drilled by Kamari Newman. And now, once again, 3-point lead for the Patriots.
Hello, Newman. A little late on the closeout by Caleb Wood. Nice high release three-pointer by Newman. And Bucknell, as you said, back up by 3. Now, no double of Rothschild.
Hamilton looked like he knocked that one out, and it will go down to the GeorgeMason Patriots. Jackson Donahue checking in as Caleb Wood takes a seat. Hamilton just about able to maintain that rebound. Donahue hit a couple threes early on after missing his first. Now Otis Livingston coming off an 18-point victory over Penn State. Jenkins saves the errant pass. Moore skies for it. GeorgeMason resets. Livingston with 8 to shoot. Finds Moore. Haven't seen him from 3 yet. Offensive board, Jenkins up and in. Took it away from 2 Penn Quakers.
Jenkins has been a horse in this game. Open look for Moore. He's going to make Penn pay more often than not, but it comes off softly. Jenkins there to clean it up.
Rothschild. McDonald finds Donahue. Donahue's feeling it. 9 points from distance. Cuts the Patriots lead to 2. Livingston taking a look at this defense for Penn. Moore, Livingston. Now a launch again. In and then out. Newman, a dangerous stroke. That time no joy as Hamilton runs the floor for the Quakers.
Jackson Donahue does a pretty good job challenging the jump shot. He didn't the previous possession on Moore. That time run out, forcing the miss with his hands high.
Foreman looking for a Rothschild screen. McDonald, nice move. Good footwork, not to travel by Matt McDonald.
McDonald wanting the and one right there, and we talked about it a little bit ago. He sees one go in, he gets a little more aggressive. That time, nice jump stop, and the reverse pivot goes off the glass.
McDonald averaging just 3.7 points per game. He's already got 4. Tipped, Good awareness by Moore. No look pass down low. Boyd with 5 to shoot. Livingston from the free throw line. Otis Livingston.
Nice play by Livingston.
Looks like it. Coming up at half, you take a look. We talked briefly about Vito's story. There's a feature illustrating what he's been through. Also, we'll talk to Penn Quakers football coach Ray Priori at halftime.
Not a bad start for Ray. 2 titles in 2 years. His first 2 as a head coach.
Broder underneath, gets it blocked, and here comes GeorgeMason. It hasn't been done since the early 70s. The Ivy League football coach has gone 2 for 2 in his first 2 years. Here's a steal. Broder to Foreman ahead of the pack. Leans in, spins it off the front end of the rim, and that's the second time that we've seen that happen. Once for Foreman, once for Caleb Wood.
Worried too much about the contact right there. Darnell Foreman needs to trust that strong left hand of his.
Newman loses it again. Second steal on 2 possessions for Penn. This time Donahue. One hands a pass down low for McDonald. Foreman open. Triple. Bingo! Penn's the lead back, 36-35, 50 seconds left.
Steal, collapse the defense, and find the trailer. Darnell Foreman, the beneficiary right there. Wide open 3, good job knocking it down.
Moore with McDonald guarding him, man-to-man set up for Penn. Now it's a Trey Newman again, and he is free shooting. 2-point lead for GeorgeMason. Shot clock turned off.
Seen that a couple of times. Jackson Donahue scraping down as Steve Donahue now going to take the user D. Shots, turnovers, and Mason opened it up from there.
It's always a waiting game when you play the Patriots. 10 seconds to shoot. Quakers can tie or take the lead. Donahue wants the ladder. Tipped out. And that's how the first half will end, unless that one went. And how about A.J. Broder, his first career 3-point attempt made, but that's the only thing that he's been able to do. We'll see if Penn features him in the offense in this first set.
He has had no room to operate. The double has come from the inbounder right away. GeorgeMason does a very good job of defensive rotations.
Broder on the floor. Swoop and score. Haven't seen that very often from Broder going top to bottom, but he has shown that he's been able to do it.
He and Rothschild both can put it on the deck, and that may be the way for A.J. Broder to face single coverage. Try and take Jenkins out to the perimeter and beat him off the bounce as Matt Howard, another tip ball, Broder the beneficiary.
Penn a tie game at 38 with GeorgeMason. Mason on a 6-game win streak. Penn snapped a 3-game losing streak by beating Lafayette on Wednesday. Broder. This is Wood stepping around a Broder screen. All alone down low. Broder, patient, passing, swinging. Wood. Offensive rebound, Broder. And then the mid-range.
Good possession for Broder. He gets the ball down on the low block, gets double teamed, doesn't force it up. There's a good ball reversal. He picks up the loose rebound and knocks down the 10-footer.
Now GeorgeMason playing from behind. First time in the second half. And a foul called. We'll see who this goes against. Penn looking for an explanation.
But to no avail. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Should have been a traveling violation.
Officials didn't see it that way. Livingston. Dribble handoff with Moore. Back to Livingston. And now an offensive foul called on Moore. Is this going to be a moving screen?
Looks like almost like that offensive pass interference play they call in football so much. Moore just clearing out a little space out there for all the world to see. Easy call for the officials.
Can't block before the swing pass.
Something like that.
I got you, Vince. Broder. He's touched the ball often early in this second half. Spins, scoops. How did that go? A.J. Broder so fleet of foot and a great touch inside.
Nifty footwork. Good strength to get through the double team. And a nice soft touch by Broder. They're going to be a little more aggressive here in the second half after only 3 shots in the first.
Penn by 4. Livingston Jump pass for Moore, baseline. Good challenge by Broder, good finish by Moore.
Really good body control by Moore. It was a nice closeout by Wood on Livingston. Good ball reversal by Mason. And Moore, good lift, good strength, good body control, nice finish.
McDonald had a good first half, 4 points, already over his season average. Broder at the elbow. He's heating up in the second half. A.J. Broder, the freshman, coming in and making an impact. Penn once again leads by 4. 1-3-1 zone look. Livingston, Foreman closing on him, and blocked by Broder out of bounds.
A nice closeout. Apparently I keep saying Bucknell because I'm used to Dave Paulson from his days up there. Penn's playing George Mason today, so I am sorry for my mistake. But I thought Mason does a nice job attacking the gap on that last penetration in the 1-3-1 zone. That time stripped away by Matt Howard.
Forced to pass through. Livingston picked it off, though, and here come the Patriots. Look away. And a pin again by Broder. Here comes Matt Howard. Broder, an inspired second half start.
Dave Paulson's about to blow a gasket. He feels like that was a goaltend. I think he might have a case.
Broder thought about pulling again. Howard, how about this tray? Boyd comes up with it for Mason, and now Kyer tries to settle things down for the Patriots. Penn by 4, just about 4 minutes into this second half. Jenkins had a great first half, 14 points. Challenging Broder. His first offensive touch. Open, Kyer, Trey, splash.
It's a really nice job by Jenkins. Penn doubles big to big right there. Matt Howard coming on the high side. Jenkins senses that, rotates baseline, able to get the good ball reversal for the open 3.
Broder gives and screens. Foreman lets it fly from the mid-range. Off the window. And Moore again with a rebound. Moore averaging 10.3 rebounds per game coming into this contest. Lets it fly from just inside the arc.
And Moore had the Black Sabbath line in the first half. 6 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He is a nice player. Really stuffs the stat sheet. Impressed with his overall strength.
Penn's had devil of a time dealing with him.
Oh, here we go.
Wood. Now McDonald. And Jenkins there for the rebound for George Mason. Patriots a 1-point lead. Livingston. Look at this dribbling exhibition.
Curly Neal special right there. Old school Globetrotter reference for you, Joe. Maybe
beautiful.
Before your time.
Boyd. And an offensive rebound for Kyer. And now a foul called underneath. Steve Donahue wants to travel, not going to get it. Foul called on
Navy Saturday.
You take one, I'll take the other.
We had Marines here, but since there was the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard back in the day, I'm going Navy.
I'll take the other side and say Army. We'll see how it works out. Vince, you normally get the better of these kind of things. Vince Curran and Joe Torti here with you.
Speaking of getting the better, A.J. Broder after a tough first half, 4 for 4 in the second half for 8 points, couple of blocks as well. You used the term, Joe, inspired. He looks like he has a little fire in him right now.
So have the Quakers, even though Mason leads by a single point. Livingston finds Jenkins down low, quick double team. Now Grayer playing with 3 fouls. Throws it away. Slipped right through Moore's hands.
It looked like Grayer lost his footing, anticipating some contact right there. Not able to get enough on the pass as he's kind of falling over as he's backing down on Silpy.
Howard looking inside for Broder. Donahue tried to look away fake. Now Broder rolls to the baseline. Donahue, a runner, and he'll go to the free throw line for 3.
As you see the beginning of that play, that's a set that Steve Donahue used to run for Darren and Nelson Henry last year, where he would start out high, there would be an up screen because everybody wanted to double team Darian last year. This year, Brodeur getting doubled. That's later in the play as Donahue gets fouled, sells it a little bit.
It's the fourth on Jair Grayer.
And they're going to check the monitor to make sure he was behind the three-point arc. Okay, I got it. And then go, ooh, I blew that one. Right? You think they just look at the feed, or you think they check to see whether they got the call right or wrong?
I think it would drive you nuts to look up top, I think.
Okay, all right.
Donahue makes the first.
So you're a sociopath then, is what you're saying. You don't care right or wrong. You know, it's just like.
Hold on, now you're putting words in my mouth.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, if I know that I make a mistake in a broadcast, I'm not going back and playing that one over and over again. 1 for 2 from the line for Donahue. Donahue's been improved this season, coming in 5 of 6 from the free throw line. That's kind of been a bugaboo for him, despite being such a good shooter from the outside.
And the one he missed was a front end of a 1-on-1 at Temple, down 4. One Penn really would like to have back.
And he's 2 for 3 from this trip. Penn gets the lead back, 46-45. Temple, very tough team this year again. Won this afternoon. Now here's more for George Mason. Patriots picked to finish in the bottom half of the Atlantic 10. But a 6-game winning streak has them at 7-3. Penn looking to pull back even on the season at 4-4. Kyer, baseline drive over Howard. And now a foul called. And the Quakers frustrated by that one. Howard looked like he thought he missed him.
Broder's got to be careful right there. He takes that ball, kind of throws it up at the rim after the play. I think, frankly, he's probably lucky that it hit the rim. If that one goes flying in the air, you got it, Joe. You're going to get teed up.
Little tee time. Justin Kyer at the free throw line. Hits that one as well. Had a career best 10 points in a win over Kent State on the 22nd of November.
Mason may be picked towards the bottom of the A10, as you just said, but you look at him and go, this team is a big way from being really good.
Yes.
Right? So they're a little small. They rebound well from every position. Jenkins, even as they're big, a little undersized.
And he's held his own against Penn.
And they've got some skilled players out there, and they play like their hair's on fire.
It's a signature of a Paulson coach team. Penn trailing by 1 to the Patriots. 9 seconds to shoot. Silpy. McDonald jump stop. Up and under. Matt McDonald up and in.
Nifty footwork after the jump stop. Kind of steps back through. Gets his body between the ball and the defender, able to kiss it off the glass.
Newman wants another 3, and he hits another 3. That's 9 points to Karmari Newman.
He's got that high arcing form, high release, gets way up in the air. Obviously not a guy that you can play off. And Jackson Donahue and Silpy that time, a little miscommunication. Donahue zigged when Silpy thought he was going to zag.
Turnovers haven't been a big problem for the Quakers in this game, but they're starting to add up a little bit in the second half as both teams getting a little loose with the ball. Jenkins, good find of Livingston. Silpy challenges to no avail.
Can't let Jenkins get the ball in that low. It's the second time we've seen that. He was almost inside that block charge circle. Completely collapses Penn defense. Makes a terrific pass out. Now Bucknell opening up a 5-point lead. George Mason and open up a 5-point lead. I got to get over this. My goodness.
Silpy, corner. Almost banked it in from the corner, but Jenkins with the rebound. Moore running the show for George Mason, an 11.5 to go. And now a foul called before the shot. We'll see who this one, a little bit closer to even against George Mason. Livingston wants a corner 3, and Broder throws it in a blender. That one landed in the 4th row.
Little body contact down low, which Dave Paulson's trying to get a little love for. No luck. Broder, saw him do that 3 or 4 times down at Miami. Go flying out on shooters. He does a nice job of being a shot blocker without fouling. And now the double team.
Newman again. This one mercifully rims out, not by much. Broder's 3rd block, by the way. Howard back into the game for the Quakers, as is Foreman. McDonald, high-low delivery, sharing with Broder. Donahue. And Jenkins with the board.
That's the shot that's going to present itself. If they double Broder in the block, George Mason, I'm saying, Penn's going to reverse that. That shot's going to be there all day for Jackson Donahue.
Moore all the way to the rack, up and in. And Moore's been very good when he's gotten the head of steam heading towards the rim. Largest lead of the second half for George Mason. Foreman finds Howard. Quakers need the three, and they be the three.
Nice dribble penetration by Darnell Foreman. He's going to his right like that. He's rarely going to look for his shot. He may stop and reverse pivot, but when he got in the air, you knew it was getting kicked out. Matt Howard, the beneficiary.
Livingston wraps one around to Moore, and a corner kick Newman. Quakers playing dangerously again, leaving him open, but 0 for 2 on his last two. Foreman puts it up with the left, up and in.
And there's what we just talked about, going to his right. He doesn't want to keep going that way. Reverse pivot, back to his dominant hand. Little floater in the lane. Jenkins away from the basket, occupied with Broder, which gives Foreman a clean look at it.
Penn claws back to within 2. Moore with the offensive board. And Foreman pokes it out. He's saying off of Moore, but it'll stay here. Broder.
And Jenkins just kind of looks at him. Darnell Foreman, not a guy you would typically double. You think Dave Paulson, when he sees that film, is going to say, you got to be a little bit closer to him.
Moore open from the mid-range again, and again he hits. That's the third one he's hit from just inside the arc.
A little hitch in that jump shot, but it's still high release. Matt McDonald a little late on the closeout. Too easy.
McDonald doubled. Trying to pass his way out of trouble, finds Howard. Howard right in front of his own bench. Challenging Moore, offensive foul called on Howard. Howard picks up his 4th personal foul. That's huge for Penn.
We got to check the tape on that one, Joe. Tough call for Matt Howard.
Marquise Moore doing a nice job. Stuffed stat sheet. That battle's been one that we've been watching.
I think Steve Donahue wants to throw the red flag. Yeah, that's a tough call. That is a very tough call, especially for your 4th.
Newman trying to dribble his way through the defense. No dice. McDonald steals it away. Foreman on the run for Penn. Weaving his way through traffic. Giant killer up and in.
Good awareness by Darnell Foreman. Like it was Moore coming in from behind. Senses where he is. Changes direction, gets to 8 feet, and knocks down the little floater.
Nearly errant pass, tracked down by Newman. Kyer into the lane. His floater won't go. Rothschild secures the board.
It's a good rebound by Rothschild in traffic. They're too easy, though, with the penetration. Just comes up a little short.
Wood gets his defender in the air. McDonald really lost a handle.
10 seconds on the shot clock.
Foreman going the wrong way. Hamilton has his shot blocked, and that's a shot clock violation. Looked like some miscommunication there on the Quakers' offensive side. He's a guy that was recruited when Steve Donahue was still at Boston College. It's a nice coup to get him here for Penn, and he has the Quakers to within a 2-point reach of George Mason. Boyd on the baseline, blocked from behind by Broder, but Jenkins, right place, right time. Merry Christmas.
A nice up fake by Boyd, dribble penetration. And as Broder rotates over, Penn doesn't get that second rotation. We talked about how George Mason has had 2 and 3 rotations. Penn doesn't get it right there. I think that one was on Darnell Foreman.
Hamilton absorbs the contact, and they'll say the foul happens before the shot. It's called on Ian Boyd. Boyd picks up his 2nd.
Wow. Surprising.
Donahue checking in. Hamilton using that athleticism, probing in. Looked like he got up the shot fairly cleanly, maybe beforehand a little bump. Broder returns the ball to Foreman. Foreman up and under, has it blocked on the way. Broder now inside. Foreman's shot won't go. Jenkins there to clean up.
Giving Foreman the ball there in a position where he's not used to having it, not a low post scorer, not a lot of opportunity to get the ball that close to the basket looking for a layup, usually in motion when he gets in that tight.
More jump pass. Grayer hasn't been able to get into a rhythm because of foul trouble, and Penn brings it up, now down 4. Third time all time that these two teams are meeting. First time George Mason has come to the Palestra. Broder swoops, a lot of contact, no foul call. That one missed everything. Moore to the elbow, and Boyd.
We talk about how the mid-range game is a lost art. George Mason did a really nice job of getting to that
on ESPN.
On
ESPN3, where you're watching this game. Along with Vince Curran, I'm Joe Torti, bringing you the action at the Palestra courtside. Along with Varun Ragapathy patrolling the sidelines. Donahue wants a corner tray. Almost banked that in off the side of the backboard. It wouldn't go. George Mason brings it up. Moore, 14 points along with Jenkins, who has it. Left block extended. Looked like he was shuffling his feet. Jenkins lowers his shoulder, puts up the hook. Great touch. Jalen Jenkins. You talk about George Mason not having a true big. Jenkins plays like one.
And Matt Howard doubles early, then runs away back to Boyd. Jenkins, once he had the room to operate, nice job hitting the running right-handed hook.
Foreman into the lane. That shot's fallen for him once, not twice. And now things starting to get ugly. Penn needs to stop if they're going to keep George Mason close. Grayer to Moore. Jenkins lays it up and in. And Jenkins now with 20.
And Matt McDonald gets caught on Jenkins on the switch. Kind of pick your poison, because Jenkins is so deep right there. You say, well, you can't let him catch the ball that deep, but you can't overcommit to the steal either. And Mason now holding 10 with just over 4 to go.
Biggest lead for either team. Donahue lets it fly from another area code. No. And now a foul called. Looked like it could have gone either way. Jenkins gets banged by Matt.
He's going to get Tyler Hamilton a possession and get Matt Howard and those 4 fouls out of there.
Penn with no field goals in just about the last 4.5 minutes. Boyd gets fouled on the way to the rack by Hamilton. George Mason on an 8-0 run over the last 3-minute plus.
That's the 7th team foul for Penn, so 1-1 for Boyd.
Not just that, they're one of the best teams in the country at getting to the line. They're 34th nationally in free throws made, 37th in free throw attempts. Boyd hits the first.
Only the 8th attempt today. Haven't missed yet.
Boyd drills that one as well. He's come on strong late, averaging almost 10 points, 5 rebounds, in 20 minutes over his last 4 games. Broder at the top of the key. He's cooled off after a hot start to this second half. Howard steps behind a Broder screen. Jones swings to McDonald. 10 seconds to shoot for Broder inside the arc. Rims out, and Howard can't secure the board. It's Moore.
You need a bucket like that. I'd like to see Penn play to their strength. Not that Broder's not a good jump shooter, but the stronger part of his game would be.
Kind of been their issue in their losses all season long, Vince, is they go long stretches without being able to score.
0 for their last 7 from the floor is Penn. And there you go, talk about Broder doing it where he's playing to his strength, not able to make the layup right there, but I like him coming out and attacking the basket right there.
Grayer eyes up a three, and that assist gives Marquise Moore a triple-double. He's got 14 points and 12 boards to go with his 10 dimes. Howard to the rack, lays it up, and that one won't.
Blocks. They only have him credited for 2. But I know that in my mind's eye, I've seen him block at least 3.
You've seen him. Howard stops the drought, at least momentarily, at the free throw line. Howard's been in foul trouble as well. 1 for 2 from the line. And why not another rebound for Moore?
And Bucknell has just, George Mason has, George Mason has just killed Penn on the boards this afternoon. A 16 rebound advantage. Now it's 15.
Broder trying to change
Still
that.
a pretty good advantage.
Wood finds Broder. Look at how tightly they've packed in their defense, just like you talked about pregame, Vince. Howard, offensive follow up and in.
Those are the shots George Mason wants you to take. They want you to shoot over the top. They're going to not give you anything in close. Matt Howard having to work very hard for that last bucket. Mason holding 12. Just over 2 to go.
Penn scrambles into their 1-3-1. Foreman nearly pokes it away. Looked like Livingston had his foot on the line. Livingston. Herky-jerky, 2 to shoot. Spins that one in. Shooter's roll. Penn trailing 72-58. Offense hard to come by. Matt Howard, the last 3 points for Penn. Foreman missing on the next 3. And now Moore with the board. And he gets fouled by McDonald on the way up.
Moore is just really solid. You don't get a triple-double by accident, but his strength right here, the aggressive take. He hasn't done a whole lot wrong today, that's for sure, Joe.
He's the straw that stirs the drink for George Mason. He does a little bit everything. Runs the point, is their best rebounder. And obviously a very good distributor as well. Free throw keeps Mason stuck on 73. Penn trying to climb back into this one. It's been close the entire time. Really, the second half of the second half has gotten away from them. McDonald almost banks in a 3. Why not? Moore with another board. .80 seconds left in this one. Foreman and Broder trying to double, and now Foreman commits the foul.
Steve Donahue lobbying for the push-off right there as Moore creates himself a little space. They get Foreman or Broder there?
Had Foreman.
I like what Broder did, though. Moore trying to dribble it out.
Moore hits the first.
Broder runs at him, trying to force the action.
George Mason's really taken command. Steve Donahue not happy with what he's seen. Team's just gone cold. 1 of their last 13 from the field. McDonald takes a seat. Sam Jones back in. Like you called him, Vince, a designated shooter.
18-3 run for George Mason to finish the game. The game's not finished yet, but to open up the game.
Wood lays it in. It's felt tight the entire time. Grayer finds Livingston. Inside 1 minute remaining in this one. Nice look down low for Jenkins. Blocked from behind by Wood. Now a foul called. Wood frustrated with that one. Looked like he might have been clean up top. Tough to tell about the bottom.
Doesn't quit on the play on the ball reversal.
Jenkins at the line, 2 shots.
It's a bad call. What are you going to do?
Jenkins at the free throw line. Spins that one in for point number 21. Good looking stroke from Jenkins. Relval will give him a breather. And Marquise Moore gets some applause from the visiting George Mason faithful as he takes a seat.
Jenkins earned the scholarship today, that's for sure, as did Marquise Moore.
Foreman misconnecting with Howard on that one. That pass lands in the Penn bench.
Just trying to do too much right now is Penn. Not a 17-point shot out there, I believe, Joe. So trying to get it all back at once. Time's running out. A little frustration maybe.
Cam Morrell getting into the game as well. He has the ball now. Double team by Wood and Foreman. Passes his way out of trouble. And Greer has done a nice job playing in the second half without fouling. Relval puts it up and in and one. Broder putting his arms skyward saying, I didn't do anything, but Relval headed to the free throw line.
All going right for George Mason down the stretch. Strong with the ball, good ball reversal. Relval using that big body of his.
Miles Tate checking into the game. Relval had probably his best game against Penn State. Had a career high in minutes and blocks last time out. Can't convert from the free throw line. Jones finds Foreman. Shot clock turned off. Quakers down by 19. Boy, this one really got away from them. Wood. Can't get that one to fall either, and the poor shooting continues for the Quakers. Newman dribbling out the clock, guarded by Howard. And now Tate takes a look at the scoreboard, and that's how this one ends. Final score 79.